All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a pretty heavy but absolutely crucial topic by digging into the official 2022 National Crime Records Bureau report on murder statistics in India. You know, whenever official crime data drops, the headlines almost immediately grab onto one massive, sensational number. But as focused learners, we know there's always a deeper, way more nuanced story waiting just beneath the surface. So today, we're going to demystify these statistics, strip away all that sensationalism, and really understand the critical difference between raw volume and ground reality. Let's get into it. Okay, let's hit the ground running with a number that instantly frames the sheer scale of what we're looking at: 78. According to the data, that is the average number of killings that happened every single day in India throughout 2022. If we break that down a little further, we're looking at more than 3 lives lost every hour of every day for an entire year. It's a stark, sobering figure for sure, but to truly wrap our heads around what this number actually means for a massive country of over 1 billion people, we need to zoom out and look at the broader timeline.
Section 1. The National Murder Picture. Let's start by looking at the nation's crime data over a 3-year period. When we hear a phrase like 78 a day, our first instinct is usually to assume things are rapidly escalating, right? But take a look at the trend line here. Back in 2020, there were 29,193 murder FIRs. In 2021, we saw a very slight uptick to 29,272. But look at 2022. The number actually dropped to 28,522. So we're actually seeing a slight downward trend in the total volume of murder cases nationwide. Plus, across the country, the overall rate of murder per 1 lakh population stood at 2.1, with a high charge-sheeting rate of 81.5%. What that means is the system is actively processing these cases, and the overall national volume is subtly but surely decreasing.
Section 2. Motives behind the crimes. Now, even with the downward trend, we're obviously still looking at thousands of cases. So you might be wondering, why are these crimes happening in the first place? Well, the crucial point jumps right out at you in this breakdown. When you think of a motive for a major crime, you might picture some intense robbery gone wrong or deep-seated mafia-style vengeance. But notice that massive slice on the left: disputes. With 9,962 cases, everyday disputes vastly outnumber literally any other motive. It completely dwarfs personal vendetta or enmity, which sits at 3,761 cases, and gain, which is your typical financial motive or robbery, at just 1,884 cases. This paints a profound picture. It's interpersonal conflicts, not necessarily organized financial crime, that are the primary drivers escalating into ultimate violence.
Section 3. Highest and lowest volumes.
Now that we know the why, let's map out the where. Check out the top 5 states on this list. We've got Uttar Pradesh sitting right at the top with nearly 3,500 FIRs, followed by Bihar, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan. Get this, together, just these 5 states account for nearly 44% of all murder cases in the entire country. Almost half the raw volume is concentrated right here. Now, human nature makes us look at this list and immediately think, well, these must inherently be the most dangerous places to live in India. Keep that assumption tucked in the back of your mind, because we're going to completely challenge it in just a second.
First, though, let's briefly contrast those high numbers with the states at the very bottom of the raw volume list. Look at Sikkim, with just 9 cases for the entire year of 2022. Literally single digits. Then there's Nagaland with 21, followed by Mizoram, Goa, and Manipur. The contrast in sheer volume is absolutely staggering. But as any good data nerd will tell you, volume without context is just noise.
Section 4. The per capita reality. And this brings us to the most vital part of our explainer, a real game changer. We have to look past the raw volume and uncover the actual population context. This comparison beautifully illustrates exactly why we can't just read the top-line numbers and call it a day. On the left side, we have our highest volume states, UP, Bihar, and Maharashtra. But the moment you factor in the massive populations of those states, the reality shifts completely. Uttar Pradesh, despite having the highest raw number of murders, has a crime rate of just 1.5 per lakh population. It actually fares much better than the national average. No way, right? Now look at the right side. The highest actual murder rates, meaning the highest per capita risk, are in Jharkhand at 4.0 and Arunachal Pradesh at 3.6. States like Chhattisgarh and Haryana also sit high at 3.4. So the states with the most crime by volume are actually not the states with the highest rate of crime per person. This right here is why data literacy is an absolute superpower.
Section 5.
Who are the victims? Having entirely reshaped our geographical understanding, who are the actual individuals impacted by this data? The demographic breakdown is very stark. The overwhelming majority, 95.4%, of the victims were adults, and breaking it down by gender, men made up about 70% of the total victims. However, we also have to solemnly acknowledge the 8,125 female victims, as well as 9 individuals from the third gender community.
Section 6. How to read the data. Let's just pump the brakes for a second, because our final lesson is all about how our own biases can trick us. This quote is straight from the National Crime Records Bureau themselves. They actually attached a vital note of caution to their own annual report. They're explicitly warning us against the flawed assumption that an upward swing in police data automatically means crime is rising, or that the police are doing a bad job. They state clearly that the common expectation that effective policing will magically keep crime figures low is completely misplaced. Let's actually play out how this logic works step by step in the real world. Imagine a state implements a fantastic citizen-centric initiative. They launch EFIR facilities, so you can report crimes online from your phone. They set up dedicated women help desks at every single precinct. So, what happens next? Step 2, it becomes significantly easier and way less intimidating for citizens to report offenses. And step 3, because reporting is easier and public trust in the system is growing, the raw crime data numbers inevitably shoot up. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The actual underlying crime hasn't necessarily increased, but the registration of that crime certainly has.
Which leaves us with one massive central question. When you look at crime statistics in the future, how are you going to interpret them? Does a sudden spike in reported numbers in your state mean your streets are suddenly less safe? Or does it mean your local police force just made it easier for victims to finally come forward and be heard? Data only gives us the numbers. It's up to us to do the digging, investigate the underlying factors, and find the actual truth. Keep that in mind the absolute next time you see a sensational headline. Thanks for diving into this complex topic with me, and stay curious.